Welcome to Loving Beyond the I Do podcast. This power couple is building stronger marriages one day at a time, talking about real issues on love, relationships, and marriage longevity. Let's break down the barriers and engage in healthy conversation with your hosts, Jason and Tina Marie. Take a seat and buckle up because things are about to get real.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to another week of Loving Beyond the I Do podcast.
With your hosts, Jason and Tina Marie.
There's about 50 of us with all those S's he put on the end. All right, so this week we have had plentiful conversations. We have had conversations at dinner, conversations on podcasts. All of these conversations have enlightened us as far as marriage is concerned. So, through all those conversations and things this week, Jason, what do you want to talk about? What topic this week do you want to talk about?
While we were having all of these different conversations throughout the week, one thing just kept popping into my mind. What is marriage? What is marriage, and how do you describe marriage for you? Okay, yeah.
The
audience, you. I'll take you too. You know,
I thought it wasn't about us.
It's never about us, but
Okay.
we still have an idea of what marriage is. But before we actually do that, I'm going to give a definition, which is real interesting. As doing research for the show, we were looking up, I said, let me give a definition for marriage.
Okay.
The thing was, marriage had so many definitions, and maybe that's why it's so difficult to nail down what marriage actually is, because it's just not one set definition for
Just
it.
like marriage isn't one size fits all.
For
That's
sure.
probably why there's so many different definitions,
and
so
so
many
many
variations of marriage,
So,
especially with culture,
exactly.
religion,
Yep.
history.
You got it.
I mean, a lot of things. Okay,
So
go ahead.
the
Those are your
definition
definitions
is
over there.
Yep.
All right.
So the definitions is a form of this institution under which a man and a woman has established their decision to live as husband and wife by legal
Commitment.
legal commitments. I don't know. Legal commitments. But I kind of stuck on that word there. Legal commitments, religious ceremonies, etc. Then it says this institution expanded to include two partners
Wow.
of the same gender
You're
as
excited. That's loud.
as same sex and gay marriage.
So
So,
the institution expanded to include two partners of the same gender, as in same-sex marriage or
And
gay
gay
marriage. Okay, the state or condition or relationship
of being married, wedlock. So it's like I said. So we can go on and on and on.
Okay, there's one more. The legal or religious ceremony that formalizes the decision of two people to live as a married couple, including the accompanying social festivities.
Yep, that's why it's so hard to nail down what is marriage. 'Cause-
So what is marriage? And what made you think of that? So what made you think that of the term, like, what is marriage, to ask that question?
Because as we were having these conversations, it was so many variations in all these different marriages and relationships. I said, well, what is, it had me to think, what is marriage?
Like what people think marriage is?
Right, because it's different for and I know it's different for everyone, but can I get like a centerpiece of what marriage actually is, so then we can work around that? Yeah, we get married and we have a wedding, that's about it. Outside of that, it's all different.
So I think one of the issues that we have is that not only are there a bunch of different definitions, but I think within ourselves we have a different idea. Everybody has a different idea of what marriage is. I think the underlining thing is the same, like the underlining theme, like to be two people become one,
Yeah.
or as some people say, this is going to be the one person that I sleep with or be with for the rest of my life.
Right.
So I think the idea of marriage, is pretty much, okay, we get married, we're together, we're a bond, we're one, we do everything together. But I think the vision or the ideal or the dream or the, I don't know.
The vision it's totally
the
different. I mean, because some people don't
perception
even
of what we
even
think marriage
think
is.
that far. I think we go as far as the wedding. And then after that, we just know we're married.
Okay, so
And what we've learned in the past is how we react to that marriage.
so your point in saying what is marriage? Do you think that's the problem? That's the problem in marriage is because we don't really know what marriage is.
We don't have a clear definition of what marriage is.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what you mean by a clear definition.
A clear definition, like going to school.
So why do we need a clear definition? Because if marriage isn't a one size fit all, why do we need a clear definition? Maybe the issue is that I need to understand your definition and you need to understand my definition so that we can have the same vision going into marriage.
I like that. I'll take that.
So we're not. So we're
I'll
not
take that.
thinking two different ways.
Well, we're going to
and
think two
being poor.
different ways, but the problem, I mean, the thing is we can think two different ways, but as long as we communicate with each other, we can go in the same direction, even though we're thinking two different ways.
So I think in what is it called? Piggyback, whatever, to piggyback off of that.
Thank you. There you go.
I would say that part of the issue that I have come to realize in several of the conversations that we've had this week is that people do have different perceptions of marriage. So, and people get married for different reasons.
Right.
So, but I think that an issue could be is that we're not, as you said, communicating, or we're not talking about what is my idea before we get married so that we can be on the same page. Right? I think we're not talking about, not before, not during, and not after.
Nope.
We're not talking about what ideas and what we thought marriage was. So many conversations that we had is people say, oh, well, I thought marriage was this. I had this idea that it was this. And then what I realized is that it's nothing like that. But you laugh about it, but what I'm saying is my issue is that they come to realize it's not that, but they don't discuss it.
And they're still not discussing it.
Right.
Even when while they're in it, they're just saying, this is not what I dreamed my marriage would be like.
This is not what I envisioned.
Right.
But we're not talking about
it. Right.
What we envisioned and what we held in our mind and how reality is real playing how it plays a part in that. But how can we create what we held in our mind? Right?
Yeah.
And so
we can if we talk to the other person, because we get married and I'll say, okay, so we get, as from a male's perspective, we get married and we just going to do, I'm going to go to work, do this, because in my mind.
What was your idea of marriage when you got married? Like, what idea did you hold in your mind? I sound funny. What idea did you hold in your mind that when you got married, or why you wanted to get married, or what marriage was going to be? What did it really mean to you? Did you think that far?
I did, but I didn't know what it meant to be married. I said I was going to try. I mean, I looked around, and this is where the education came in. I had to look at certain people that I thought had good relationships.
But did you do that? Did you actually do that before you got married?
Well, not before. I mean, before I got married, I just, after we decided we were going to get married, I was like, okay, cool. We're getting married. We're going to make the best of it. We're going to have all this fun, right?
Right.
Once you got into it, it's like, okay, I'm supposed to go to work. I'm supposed to be the provider because this is what society says.
Just the idea.
Just the idea.
You never really.
Once I got into it, then it's like, okay, this can't solely be on me because this is just a lot of pressure for me to just provide and take on all of this.
That's what you thought?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Why you got that funny look on your face?
Because that just sounds so weird.
Oh.
It's just like, okay, I'm going to be the provider, and then you get married, and you be like, oh, this is a lot. I think I want to give something to her. Like, what is that all about?
Well, no, I say provider, because I like to cook. I like to, you're working, you're doing a lot of different things.
So just digging deeper. I still don't understand.
That's fine. You may not understand, but this is my story, and I'm living by it. So I'm standing by my story. Right. So, but that's what I'm saying. You get into it, and you just kind of going, and you really don't know. So you had to kind of figure out your way.
But did it bother you?
No.
It did.
It didn't. No, it did not bother me. But I'm just saying, this is a lot of pressure for a young person. For a young person to put all of that responsibility.
Forget young or old.
Just to put all that.
General.
Right. Just to put all that. You have to do this. You have to do this. You have to do this because
did you feel pressure?
Did I feel pressure? No,
because
I won't say so much pressure, but just responsibility. it's just a lot of responsibility.
Still not connecting.
Okay, well, that's all right. We made it through, whether you're connected or not.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
So,
but you have to find out what works for you. I mean, like you figure like, okay, well, if we're gonna get married,
see,
who's gonna do
that?
Who's gonna get married?
I don't even think it's about who's gonna cook or who's gonna clean or who's gonna do that.
Oh, that plays a big part in it.
I don't think.
Well,
I
it
do.
does.
No, what I'm saying is
that creates a
what
lot of
I'm
arguments if you don't work those things out.
It could.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is that the thing is that you shouldn't have in your mind who should cook and clean. That should be something that you guys discuss before,
exactly,
during, and after. Like
right.
Before you get married, during the process of getting married,
and that's
after
why
you get married, so that and that's what I mean by discussing your vision or your idea
exactly.
of what marriage is. Plus, I always say, don't start what you're not going to finish.
Right.
And I think in a man's mind, even though, you and I say we don't have roles, I think somewhere we still hold roles in the back of our mind.
Sure.
And it just so happens if we
instilled.
have the marriage where we can kind of roll with the punches and kind of make it ours, then it makes things easy. But when we try to stamp, okay, you're supposed to cook, you're supposed to clean, you're supposed to wash, when we put those stamps and labels on people, that's where the pressure comes in.
Oh, yeah.
Or when we do it for ourselves. Well, I'm supposed to do this, so I have to do it. I don't need you to do it, or,
Right. But it's self-imposed pressure sometimes because society says that you're supposed to provide. Society says this, so you're trying to live up to that.
That's why we're trying to understand how people define marriage.
Exactly.
And the biggest thing that should be a takeaway from this is that we shouldn't define marriage according to what society says.
Right.
Because we know, just like relationships, just like cars, just like socks, anything, one size doesn't fit all.
Right.
Right? So if we're going to have a relationship or marriage that works for us, we have to define it according to who we are and how we work and how we move forward and how we do things. And what my background is, what your background is, and how we can blend that together. That's where a good marriage, that's where a definition of a marriage comes in. And that's what I'm saying. I think that was the best part of us. We like to say that is because we were young. I don't think that was.
I mean, no, it doesn't, because a lot of young couples didn't make it. So,
exactly.
Yep.
And young people don't have the mentality to say, oh, let's compromise. Let's work together.
Right.
Let's do this. Let's do that. It's a pull instead of a give and take sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes when you're younger, can be bad,
right,
because you don't have the experience or the knowledge or the wisdom. And sometimes when you're older, it can be bad because then
you have all of those things and you have experience.
You think you have it.
Right. You have experience, and there's some things that you can't get over based on the experience that you had in past relationships.
Or you've been single so long that you've gotten into your way of doing things, and you don't realize that it takes a compromise when you get married. It's not just you anymore. It's not the way you do things. But if we get married, we have to go into it understanding that it is a balancing act. I can't, even though you love me and I'm the person you want to marry, we have to understand and compromise on what it is we both feel like marriage is.
Right.
Right. So I can't come in saying, well, you should be doing this or you should be doing that, or we have to take the time to understand, especially older.
Right.
We have to take the time to understand what that person brings to the table.
So what we have to do is we need to sit down and talk about what marriage means to each one of us.
Or be willing to go into marriage not with a fixed idea of what marriage is, but with not with
like a blank slate.
A blank slate,
blank slate, open mind. How
are we going to make our marriage work for us? How are we going to remain happy? How are we going to remain communicative? How are we going to communicate? How are we going to deal with money issues? How are we going to deal with anger?
Okay.
I think if the definition of marriage should be, what is my marriage to me? What does it mean to me? What does it mean to you? How do I see us interacting together? Right? And a lot of people just don't do that. We go into marriage just like
going into marriage, saying I do, and just doing marriage.
Yeah, and a lot of our conversations that we've had is that, the conversation that comes up again is that, marriage is about you're either happy or you're married. And the reason that stigma is out there is because it is so true. it is true. A lot of people get married and then become unhappy. That is because they're not defining what their marriage is. They're not working on their marriage.
Right.
They're losing themselves trying to be something else.
Right.
You know, it's so many different reasons why marriage becomes unhappy. And we stop doing the things that make each other happy
for sure.
or makes us happy, right?
Right,
So
right,
when you were trying to date me or you were interested in me, you did things that you didn't mind doing, but you did them to get me.
Right.
And then I feel like sometimes when we get into marriage, we just stop doing all those things.
Oh, we do, because we're just doing life. We're not worrying about trying to court or do all that different stuff that
or
we did.
we feel like it's unimportant.
Well, at that point,
her.
it is kind of. Well, I won't say it's. Man, I'm about to dig myself a bigger hole.
Right.
Let me back that up. Let me eat
put my
those
hand
words
on my
right
hips?
quick.
Right. I'm sorry.
That's why I season my words very well, because just in case I have to eat them.
So now, what were you about to say?
I was about to say, I don't remember. The train has left the station.
So, do you think? And I.
No, go ahead.
Like I
Ask you.
said before.
Do I think what?
I don't know. Train
Okay.
left the station. But I was gonna say, but I think a big part also is remaining fun, remaining young, remaining.
Yeah, and
not
that was a
letting
couple of
life-
podcasts ago, bringing the fun back into your relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of, we can be adults and we can be parents, but we can still have that youthful fun energy. Let's enjoy each other.
When life was fun.
Yeah. So
And that's how
you don't think, so the question was, so you don't think you need to do those things anymore?
I do now. At one time, no, I'm being serious. At one stretch of our marriage, I just thought, why are we doing that? Why are we spending money? Why do you want to go on date night? Why do you want to do that kind of stuff? That's just, to me, it's just kind of a waste of money. I mean, we hear all the time, we got a date.
Waste of money.
We can have a date night at any time. We just sit down at the dinner table and have date night. So, yep, that's kind of what I thought back then. I've since changed my view on that.
Because you understand it's more than just the money. It's
Exactly.
the connection that you're
Right.
You're reconnecting.
It means so much more to have date night. Before, I mean, like I didn't want to do it before, but now I enjoy it. I look forward to date night and doing various different things that we do together. It's fun. It's exciting. Something to look forward to.
Is it because we're getting old now? So
No.
Before we were younger.
No, it reminds me when we were younger.
But I mean, when we were younger and you didn't want to do it, was it because we were young and you didn't see any point? But now,
well,
we're
you know what?
older,
I was just protective. So like, okay, for us to go out, we gotta get someone to watch the kids. We have to do this and we have to do that. And it's like, you know what? By the time we go through,
overthought too much.
maybe I did, but instead of getting somebody to watch the kids, we just stay home and eat dinner at the table or whatever and have a nice little night.
I don't when you talk about that, but I don't think we ever really, I don't think I ever really cared about date night back then.
You
because
probably
we
did.
spent so much time together.
Right. I mean, that's true.
And now that,
And even when you
empty
did,
nesters.
right, even when you started bringing it up, I was still resistant to the idea of going on date night until I came around. It's like, you know what? You're right. Maybe we do need to go out.
but that could have been an issue in our marriage, right?
It could have been. Right. You didn't let it.
I probably just didn't care.
Well,
Because we
you
went out all the time.
Right. I mean, I
And
didn't know.
I guess that's what people say. Well, we go out with other couples, or we go out on the weekend for dinner, or we do this
Right.
and we do that. But it's kind of
But-
different.
but-
It's kind of special when you say date night. The whole purpose
It
is
is.
to.
It is.
So if we think back to the words, date night means you're taking me on a date, right? You are courting me. You are dating me.
Yes.
We are now in that dating phase where I want to be with you and you want to be with me.
Yep.
It's not just us going out to eat. It's a
Right.
difference. I think
Right.
when you put a title on it, it makes it a little bit
The
more
night
special.
and the night and the events are so much, to me, it's more special when I say date night.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
we going on a date tonight versus just let's go grab something to eat.
Speaking of, you haven't sent me a date night request in a while.
I have not.
No
Okay.
flowers.
Note to self. Send
Okay.
request.
So back to this marriage thing. So what do you think, like, what is an issue, or is I
Yeah,
think
not
I think we
having a
established that
clear understanding what marriage is to them.
to
and
each person.
To each person. So if you know, and then explaining that to your partner.
or continuing to explain because
Right,
what we
because
figured
it
out-
evolved.
Right,
And that's what we
right.
found out, yes.
Yeah, what we've
we
learned is
started
that-
out with is totally different than where it is now.
Exactly. Our relationship has changed. What my needs are today is not the same needs I had 10 years ago.
Yep.
Maybe not even 5 years ago.
Right.
Maybe not even a month ago.
Not even last night.
Maybe
Things
not.
change.
Absolutely. Because tomorrow's not promised.
Right? Yeah, you should
So
be
I
able
might
to turn
want to
on.
live everything I want to do today just in case. But I think a lot of people go into marriage without actually knowing or defining what marriage is to them.
Right.
And when it becomes, or if they do, they hold a fantasy.
Yep.
They hold an idea in their mind from what they've seen from the outside,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But they don't go into the marriage discussing it. And if they get married and it's not that, and it blows their whole reality apart, they still don't discuss it.
No.
I think we
keep that part in our, to ourselves.
we roll it up and we tuck it somewhere and we go,
Yeah.
wow, like I had no
Yeah,
idea
yeah.
this was like. And marriage is not the only thing that we do that with. We do that with a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, man, I had no idea it was like this. But the thing is, we have to be able to discuss what we think marriage is. And if our marriage
Going in.
or
And while
even
we're
if-
in it.
even if we're already in
Well,
it,
hey, like say, hey, listen, I thought marriage was going to be this. And, if you can sit down and explain that out. And it's like, well, what was your ideas of marriage? When
and I think that causes a lot of problems.
It
right?
does.
Because we don't discuss it, and we're still holding on to this idea
So-
in our head, and we're upset because it's not what we thought it was.
Right. So that's so you sit up there, you're upset about a situation like, man, this is not what I anticipated at all.
And that's where the unhappy part.
And you're
comes
just
in.
unhappy every day because you come in. Yep, when I come in, they're gonna say this, and this is the same old thing. We do the same old thing day in and day out, and it just gets boring and mundane. Yep, because you don't talk about it and say, let's do something different. Or my vision for the marriage was this. You have visions for everything else
or
or ideas.
let's try to create the vision that I thought it was going to be.
Yep.
Let's discuss it. Let's try to build the type of marriage that we want. So the reason why people, like I said, marriages are unhappy, but the reason why marriages are unhappy is because we choose to let it just
Yep.
go that way. As we say before,
We keep our mouths closed.
or as our motto is, we have to get into the driver's seat, take our marriages off of cruise control. And
Yep.
that's what marriages have been for so many years. It, like last week's episode, it was, okay, we're married. This is it. This is as good
This
as
is
it
best,
gets.
yeah.
All right. So
Our marriage is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yep.
And we're just going to live out the rest of our days together, either as roommates, either as a spark of happiness here and there, or whatever. Like different marriages are different things. But we can be happy in anything.
Yep.
It's a
Yeah.
choice. It's a personal choice. I can't,
But you have to work at it. You have to work at it. It's not just going
but
to
I
happen.
have to do the work for me.
Right,
I can't
right.
expect you to make me happy
Right.
if I'm not finding happiness myself. Like, do you know what?
You know what?
You're
I'm
talking
glad
about
you.
pressure. You know how
I
much
know
pressure
that.
that is.
Right, to try to make someone else happy.
All the time.
Yes,
So you have to
yes.
figure out what makes me happy, when I'm not happy,
Yep.
what you need to do. Oh my God, I don't want to step on this. I don't want to do that. Do you realize how much pressure that is on the other person?
I'll lose myself trying to make you happy.
And then all the time, the person, instead of becoming happy, sometimes they get greedy, or it's a difference,
Right.
right? It's not happiness.
You used to
it's,
do
I
this.
expect
Now I
you.
needed to go up to the next level. You need to do this now because you've done that before. So yeah.
Or it just
It's-
becomes like one person using the other.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
something like
yeah.
that.
And I said, when that happens, then the other person loses themselves, and then they end up, why? How did I get here? I feel like I'm being disrespected, and anything else. So you feel like you're the lesser person in the relationship, which is never good.
Or you're unhappy trying to make somebody else happy,
Right.
right?
So your ultimate goal is to make yourself happy first.
The ultimate goal is to be happy.
Right. To be
To be
happy
happy,
overall
because
as a
if you-
couple, but you
if
have
you-
to make yourself happy.
I'm just saying for you to be happy.
Yes.
So the ultimate goal is to be happy, period. To
Mm-hmm.
live a happy life, to be happy, to, understand what life is about, understand what the person is about, to live a healthy, happy life. And in order for me to be happy, it's my choice.
Mm-hmm.
Either I can let something bother me, or I can choose to see why it bothers me and create another perspective of it, right?
Yep.
So it's my choice to look at whatever the situation is and either become happy from it or become sad, not let it bother me. Most of the times when you elevate to a level where things don't bother you, you tend not to be temperamental. Like
Sure.
you're not easily.
When you're happy, you're not so temperamental.
Yeah.
So when you're happy, just think about it.
things just doesn't bother you. as much.
Exactly. It just rolls right off your back. I mean, like when you're happy, things are always going your way. But
it's always those people try to, try to.
Yep. Take some of your little happiness away. Take your little sunshine away.
Right. So what do you want couples to take away from this who are married and maybe
Have a
not finding how
Happen.
to be happy
Yeah.
in their marriage?
Yeah, I
like
think-
they don't understand where to even start. We talk about this happy, and to
Yeah,
some people they like,
Look, I'm not
look,
happy, but I'm married. I'm
you-
here.
they like, look, y'all full of crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, ain't no such thing. Like, that's not what I want to hear because my marriage is what it is. And if it was going to be happy, it would have been happy. And we've been this way for so many years that I don't even foresee happiness. The thing is that you can.
Yeah, you could change. You could be
If
happy.
if you don't see it, if you don't believe it, it's not going to be.
Yeah. Whatever you have, whatever vision you hold in your head is what you're going to live out.
Or we have to learn to compromise with the person we're in the relationship with enough so that it's not all what I want, but what both of us, how can we both get what we want and be happy about it?
Yeah.
Right? How can I get the wife that I want? How can I get the husband that I want? How can we get the relationship that we want? But I think the biggest thing is that both people have to want it.
Yeah. So the fastest way to get there is two people actually going in the same direction at the same time. That's the fastest way to get to happiness. Now, is it always like that? Absolutely not. Someone may be, running with the torch right away towards happiness, and the other one's a little slow dragging about
Or the other
moving
person
that way.
doesn't see the point.
Right.
Sometimes we get, we're in marriage and 2, 3, 5, 10 years down the road, we have not driven our marriage.
Yep.
It's been on cruise control.
Yep.
We had it is what it is.
Right.
After a year or so, we like, okay, this is what it's gonna be.
This is what
I'm
marriage is all
unhappy.
about. Yep.
Right. And so one person just doesn't see the point, and so they're not willing to put forth the effort.
Yeah. It's going to take a lot longer to be happy in that scenario because it's going to take a while for the other person to actually move to be happy.
And it's stages. It's stages. You have to start somewhere in the direction you want your marriage to be if you want that type of marriage. If I want a clean house, I can't sit here every day and pout about how dirty it is. I can't sit around and look at all of the garbage that he's doing and blaming him.
Right.
What am I doing? If I start a little bit at a time, conquering those tasks, it's only a matter of time before my house is clean, right?
And what will happen, I'll see you picking up, then I'll end up picking up some of the stuff that was left behind as well.
But we can't.
By just that's human nature.
Right, but we cannot expect our mate to do it. Right, we
Right.
have to do it, and I can't say, okay, I just did 10%. Why aren't they doing something?
Right.
That's not moving in the right direction.
No.
If you're doing it to have a better marriage, go in with the intention of doing it alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that, or when I say do it alone, which means that you have to carry your own weight.
Yep.
You have to deal with your own baggage. You have to deal with your own garbage. You have to face yourself and say, what part am I playing in this relationship that could be better?
And let's go through.
Own up to your own.
Right. That's reading books, that's taking courses, that's going to retreats and
That
seminars.
could just be something small as
Well, looking in the mirror.
change. Exactly. I mean, it could
Yeah,
be
you
really
look in the
small.
mirror.
It could be.
But I'm saying
because
it's
why I
all
say
about
that?
education as well,
It
too.
is about education, but sometimes we have to start small. Sometimes people aren't there.
I understand.
Like sometimes people may pick up a spouse may pick a book here. You need to read it. First thing we say,
See-
you need to read
see,
it.
that's right.
Right.
But that's not what I'm saying.
Or, no. Or I'm saying you see me reading a book. You're like, why are you reading that?
Right. We're
Right.
fine. Yeah, stop
Right,
reading that
right.
relationship
So
book. You're going to want me
sometimes
to
we
do
have to
something.
Start small with something just as simple as trying to understand why a person does something else. My biggest thing is putting myself in your shoes.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, you're good on that.
trying to understand things from your perspective instead of mine. Why do things bother you, or why does it bother me when you do this? So something really small that can have a huge impact. And then move to the seminars. But
Right.
or
I'm saying
move
you
to the
can't do it.
conversation, because
Right. The first thing you say, look, this is what I had planned for my wedding. This is how I envision our relationship going. If it's not going the way you want, and even if it is, it's still nice to have that conversation, because just because you hold that vision does not mean your partner holds that same vision. Find out what their vision actually is. That way you'll know.
Because it has
Right.
to be different. That's why it's
It
not
is
lining
different.
up.
I can guarantee you it's different. What a man and a woman thinks is totally different majority of the
Absolutely.
time. So what you hold in your
as we said
on your
before,
mind.
men get married thinking they're going to have sex all the time, and
Yep.
women get married thinking they're going to be in love all the time.
And they're going to be cuddled all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
So when they go in and it doesn't happen, the other person's like, well, I feel like I got cheated.
Yep.
Right. Or, it's different things for different people, what their idea of marriage is. But if we don't discuss it, and we don't talk about it, and we don't put our cards on the table face up, if we don't show our hands, how can we move forward and define what marriage is? Don't try to define your marriage from your parents, your grandparents, your neighbors, your best friend.
Find a
I
new
want
way.
a marriage like them. You see them?
Yeah.
I want to have your own marriage. You come with baggage, they come with baggage. You come with history, they come with history. You have different cultures, different backgrounds, different religions, whatever. Deal with the mate that you have chosen, right? Because sometimes we forget we chose this person.
That's true.
It was a choice.
Yeah.
It was a choice.
Yeah.
We just like happiness,
Right.
right? You had a choice to marry anybody in the world you wanted to.
But you chose each other.
And you say, well, no, I didn't. Yes, you did.
Yep.
You didn't have to say yes to that person. You
Right.
could have kept looking and found someone else. You chose your partner.
Yep.
You chose your partner for a reason.
Yep.
Right? So choose to communicate what marriage means to you so that you can have the marriage that you thought or that you want to have.
I think that's it right there. You have to have the conversation about what you want or how you want your marriage to be.
And then make a plan.
And right from that, then you can make an action plan, and you can draw it out, and you can move towards that
Sometimes
direction.
One little bitty thing can make all the difference, and it opens up a whole
That's
new
all-
different realm of where your relationship could be.
Yeah,
And
because somebody's like, well, I never knew that. I thought that you were happy in the relationship that we were in. Just let the other person know exactly. When I say let them know, I mean just let them know in a nice way, nice, loving, caring way. Not, I don't like what's going on in my relationship, and I want to change it, and you're gonna start doing this, and I'm gonna start doing this, and this is what's gonna make it better.
Who
Not
you be listening to and
I'm
looking at?
just saying. Just because it don't go on in our relationship don't mean it doesn't go on in relationships.
True.
Okay.
True.
Right.
But
I'm just saying it's
we have
all
to-
about the delivery of the message.
That's
If
true.
you want to tell someone about the vision in your relationship, it's a way to do it, and that's all I'm saying. Please do it respectfully.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we like to think that all marriages are done in a respectful manner, but the truth is it's not.
Right.
Some people have some very
Strong ways of
unrespect-
explaining it.
Yeah,
Explaining
disrespectful
things.
conversations.
Sure.
And it's because, again, the bottom line is we all just want to be loved. We want to be loved, respected, admired, and we want that from our mate. And when we don't get it, we act out because we don't know how to effectively communicate that. We don't want to say to our mate, I just want you to love me. We don't know how to say that.
Nope.
We want you to know it. We want you to show it, and we're not. Just sometimes all it takes is just being vulnerable to your mate and saying, hey, look, this is not the marriage that I thought we were going to have.
Right.
Do you want to be in this marriage? Do you want this? You and I used to love each other, or we got married for whatever reason.
Yep.
Let's, I don't want to spend the rest of my days unhappy.
Right.
Do you want to work on this marriage? Because it's a choice. I want to work on it. I think we can move forward. I think it can be better, and it can if we talk about it and we both are moving in the same direction on the same page.
That's the most important thing. You both have to be moving in the same direction.
But exactly, but you got to know which direction you're going.
That's the issue right
Exactly,
there.
exactly. I can't.
You guys are moving right now, but you don't know where you're going.
Or I'm going my way and you're going your way, and we're
Right.
wondering why we're not happy.
Right.
You know,
We have
and-
moments in time where we have happy moments, and we're just like, man, we should have more of this. Whether it be on vacation or you go to a particular place that you did when you were dating, you feel so happy and warm. You're like, I want more of this, but then you just can't find a way to continue that going because your ideas are different about where you're headed.
And, you know, sometimes it may take one partner a little bit longer than the other. So
Yeah.
we have to be willing. But I think if we sit down with a sincere, vulnerable conversation with our mate to define what do we want in our marriage? What do you want your marriage to look like? You know, do you want to be happy? I think these are hard conversations to have. It sounds
Yep.
easy, but these are hard conversations to have, but they must be said. If you're in a relationship or marriage with someone and you guys are not, because sometimes we overuse the word happy. If you're not pleased, if you're not feeling fulfilled, if your love tank isn't on full, right?
Right.
If most of the time you're feeling depleted or neglected or unloved, then talk about it. You know, this is not what I want in a relationship, and I think we can have what we used to have. And even if we didn't used to have it, I think we can have it.
Of course we can.
Because we can make the relationship whatever we want it to be.
Yep.
The choices between the two people in that relationship. Instead of going out and finding something that's new and shiny, it's going to get dull too.
You still have to put the work in it, whether it's new or whatever.
So whether
you're
you
starting over.
Right. So even when you find somebody else outside of the relationship that's exciting or sexy or vibrant, it's only because they're new.
Right.
Right?
And then that's
Well-
going to get old, and then you're going to be in the
You'll be
same
back
type
in
of
the same
relationship.
situation.
Yep.
So we have to know, what do I need to change within myself? How do I need to communicate this? What can I do to move my marriage in that direction? Right? What
Yeah.
what is going on? Like,
Yeah.
where are we missing the mark?
We're missing the mark because we don't know where we're going. So now that we know that we need to have the conversation and define what marriage is to us,
Or what we want our marriage to be.
or what we want our marriage to be,
Right.
then we can start moving that.
Wherever we are right now. Another thing is that we have to forget the past.
Right.
Right? We can't, well, you did this, I did this, I can't.
Right.
get
You got to
over
let
this,
that
I
go
gotta-
so you can
So
so
you
you
can't
can grow.
You can't move forward if you're constantly looking behind.
Right.
And if you want to have a different type of relationship with your mate, then you have to start from where you are right now and move forward.
Right.
You know, it may take a little time. It may take some forgiving. It may take some crying, some hard conversations. It may take some counseling. It may take some self-development. It may take a lot of things. It may take you, you know, to seek spirituality. It may take whatever it needs to take. The point is that you have to start from the point to where you are right now and be willing to move forward and keep moving forward. You can't step back. You can't, and both people have to be willing to take that journey together. That's what marriage is, taking a journey together in the same direction, in the same path, with the same vision.
That's right. We came together. Two people came together as one, and that's how you're going to tackle this journey as one. So that's
Happiness is a choice.
happiness is a choice.
What do you choose today? Choose to define your marriage and what you want it to be and how you're going to get it there. Communication is key. It is. But effective communication and realizing that I have to communicate with my mate, not my mom, not my sister, not my best friend,
That's
not my
right.
neighbor, not my minister. I have to communicate with myself and with the
just two
person I'm in
people.
the relationship with.
It's just two people. It's you and them.
If I don't communicate with you what I'm trying, you know, what my vision is, what I want, how I want this relationship to go, how are we ever going to move it there?
You won't, but you will now because now you know. Now you know you need to explain your vision for your relationship, your vision for your marriage, what you want your marriage to be. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to go out, you're going to have a conversation, respectful conversation, and say, this is what I really envisioned when we said I do.
That's a good start.
Yeah. And then the other person would say, well, I envision this. And then you work from there. Then you work on an action plan. How do we get to where we want to get to?
let's put down that armor that we have built up over the years. Let's tackle that wall that we have built between us. Let's knock it down, and let's realize that the person who we said I do to is still on the other side of that wall. We just have to melt it down, knock it down,
breaking down those barriers, like we always say.
Breaking down, because it is possible, because everyone wants to feel loved, and even in the toughest situations where you're constantly arguing, someone has to be the bigger person and say, okay, what is the real issue here, right?
Yeah.
If we're arguing over money, like, let's find a way to agree on how we're going to tackle this issue. You know, finger pointing never helps. Blaming the other person never helps. So let's decide on how we're going to tackle the issues in our marriage, what tools are we going to use, and how we're going to get from where we are to where we want to be.
Yep. So I think
first decision is if we want to move forward.
Of course, yeah.
And
so
move forward, you know.
That's why you had that conversation about your vision. Once you find out what your vision is, then you can move on. You can move ahead with what your vision is.
Life is too short. It makes no sense to be married for
just to be married for the sake of being married.
Exactly. And being unhappy every single day. That just...
nope, that's why we're here. We're here to talk about happiness. or how to be happy right.
Yeah, just moving our marriages to a different place.
I mean, this is something that we decided to do early on, and we've had a happy marriage for a long, long time. So we're just giving you some things.
We're not perfect.
No.
We have our ups and downs.
Right.
But at the end of the day, the point is, it's a choice.
Right.
It's a choice.
We choose to be happy.
What do we choose for our marriage? What do we choose for each other?
Right. When things are getting kind of rocky, we say, no, this is not what I chose. I chose to be happy, and I love you, and I want to be happy. What can we do to make this thing get back on the right track? That's the difference in sitting there soaking and, being mad. I need to be mad at you at least 3-4 days to really prove that I was right. That kind of stuff never wins. So
let's start with this, where we are right now, so that we can show the generations behind us how marriage can be done right. Let's redefine what marriage is. Let's get rid of the stigma behind it, the negative, stigma that, once you get married, you die, right?
Yeah.
Let's show people that relationships are thriving because people are now making an intentional decision to create the marriage they want, not just letting it evolve to whatever society ups and downs, ins and outs, whatever it turns into.
I like that intentionality. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. So let's go ahead and get out of here, babe.
All right. Sounds good. I think that's enough for today. We're going to see you guys next week with another tip, bit, or understanding what marriage is and knocking down those barriers and tackling real issues in real marriages.
Right.
So as always,
we're in it to win it.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Lovin' Beyond the I Do podcast. Head over to iTunes to subscribe and leave a review. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Legendary Relationship, or visit our website at legendaryrelationship.com. Till next time, remember to make every day count.